Greetings, family. Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbee. If you are new to this channel or podcast, then please subscribe and share our content with your friends. This will help grow our audience. I provide a written transcript in the group with the same name on Facebook for those of you who don't speak English. I also cite all of my sources under Show and Prove section. You can find all of my work under the About section on my YouTube channel and then scroll down to Medium. I use this platform to interact with everyone on my friends list and everyone in my social groups by giving Black business owners free airtime to promote their products and services. I give people in the faith community an opportunity to share the gospel of Jesus Christ and ordinary law-abiding citizens an opportunity to share their special talents and skills to my listeners from the podcast community. After the show, I offer my guest speakers an incentive by teaching them how to create their own podcast and YouTube channel to help them earn extra revenue during COVID-19. I also assist people on my friends list with creating basic websites, finding college scholarships and grants, housing, and legal services, all for free. Our goal this year is to raise $500,000 for our film projects. Hood Liberator Made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins. First, I would like to thank those of you who have donated to our film project. I encourage people from my friends list and people in my social groups who want to be a part of our film project to please send me your email address to my Facebook inbox. We will hold a private conference through Google Meetings to discuss the best methods of reaching others via social media, people from their friends list, donors, and local businesses. Your Chicago, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago, mission is to help eradicate urban violence in Chicago through our programs and services. Our objective is to build a bridge between the diaspora and continental Africans through art, culture, and commerce. Your Chicago will be in the business of creating docudramas, short films, theater, photography, fine arts, music, poetry, literature, sculpture, dance, and spiritual development for inner city youth and their families. Once this virus is cleaned up, we plan on launching African tours in order for us to move from behind the computer and make real connections with our global Black family on the continent, starting in South Africa. I created GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement, because I got tired of all of the division among Black people. I created GRCAM in 1991 on a site called Gopher. I wanted to create an organization that focused specifically on solving Black issues in America. I wanted to connect with other like-minded African Americans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Europeans, African immigrants, and Afro-Latinos throughout the diaspora. This is a podcast where we talk about solving Black issues / African issues using a spiritual perspective as it pertains to the great awakening of our people that has been prophesied. Our objective is to get our film project fully funded and play it by ear during COVID-19. Once this virus is cleaned up, then we will shoot our film and promote our film in selected movie theaters and sell our DVDs. Together, we will put GRCAM on the map and turn my vision for Black America into reality. In 2021 and beyond, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement will be promoting a policy of global Black unity, ownership, and community support. Our objective is to be in a place where we own everything we consume, and we support one another. We're reaching out to our group members and listeners and would like to encourage them to support our film project in 3 ways. Through our virtual store, Gurkham merchandise such as COVID masks, coffee mugs, posters, handbags, and t-shirts. All proceeds will go towards our film project. 2, through our nonprofit organization, Gurkham of Chicago. PayPal page. Donations can be used as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3. All donations are tax deductible to the fullest extent of the law. 3, you can support us by purchasing my revised book on my Amazon author page. Keep in mind, community support is where we have to go, and please understand, when you're supporting our YouTube channel or our podcast, you're supporting an independent black network which will eventually employ black people in our films, stage plays, and in our actual business. I need African entrepreneurs, especially in South Africa, to come on the show and promote your businesses and ministries to the diaspora and vice versa. Instructions on participating on the show. Once I'm done with my presentation, I will open up the virtual phone lines. First, watch my Facebook Live video called Side A. After I finish with my presentation, then I will open up the virtual phone lines. Just click on the phone icon to interact with me in real time through Facebook Messenger as a voice call, or you can click on the as a video call if you like. This will be called Side B. With that being said, tonight's segmentation is entitled Examining the George Floyd Case and Getting on Code. Before I weigh in on the George Floyd case, I would like to encourage all of my group members in both my Christian groups and my secular groups to try to participate on the show for next Thursday, April 22nd. The event will be called Where Are Gurkham Members? It's my hope that with the support of the grassroots community activist movement members, we will raise the funds for our film project. Hood Liberator Made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins, in order for us to reach the global black family. The proceeds from the film will put me in a better position financially so that I can buy office equipment, purchase property in Chicago and in Africa, as well as to hire qualified black middle-class professionals who will make sure our Christian business, Gurkham Chicago, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago, will be effective and successful for years to come. Since Black America has rejected the vision, my organization will be membership-based and private. This is not business as usual. This is personal. Our motto, intelligence over ignorance. Gurkham Chicago will provide quality programs and services that will strengthen the black family and benefit the black community. Gurkham Chicago will operate under 7 separate functions within the organization. My revised book, The Solution for Black America, 2nd edition, is the foundation of my Christian business. Those 7 functions will be a social service component, a spiritual component, which will be optional for secular people, a political component under my for-profit service-based business, an entertainment component, an entrepreneur component, a health and wellness component, and a black media component. It's time for true active Gurkham members to work with me and Sister Renee in taking our story to the big screen. Stand up CAM members worldwide. GCAM will raise the standard in black society from the bottom up. If you were unable to participate on the show because of your obligations, no worry. This is why I write out my transcript so that people can read my speech in advance, or they can listen to my pre-recorded podcast at their leisure. All I ask is that you send me a message to my Facebook inbox. Decide if you want me to send you the transcript or the pre-recorded podcast. After you have read or listened to the pre-recorded podcast, leave a public comment on my Facebook page and share with your friends. This will help get the ball rolling. I am looking for grant writers who can assist us in getting grants from donors, sponsors, and corporations to help fund our film project as well. This is the best that I can do for now until God connect me with other like-minded black people who will work with me and Sister Renee in getting our film project fully funded and made. My thoughts about the Derek Chauvin trial. The systematic racism in America criminal justice system have reduced the murder of black people down to a written process. After the murder of Trayvon Martin and Eric Gardner, I explained to my group members that we live in a system built from white supremacy, which has reduced the murder of black people down to a written process. George Floyd was killed during an arrest after a store clerk alleged he had passed a counterfeit $20 bill in Minnesota. Derek Chauvin, one of the 4 police officers who arrived on the scene, nailed on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. The prosecutor is representing George Floyd. Their argument is that Derek Chauvin used excessive force against George Floyd by holding George Floyd down with his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. The defense argument is that the reason why Derek Chauvin's knee was placed on George Floyd's neck because the crowd around the scene was a distraction. The defense is also arguing that George Floyd did not die from Derek Chauvin pressure from his knee, but rather from a condition he developed from his drug use. I believe the defense is attempting to lower the charge from murder to manslaughter. The mainstream media is purposely putting the George Floyd case in front of us to make us upset and angry. I am still shocked that black people were not outraged about the murder of Tamir Rice. People are protesting against corruption in our criminal justice system. It's 2021 and we still don't have a mandatory way of handling jury selection based on race. The current system in place is why black people are getting convicted. The black grassroots needs to get involved in reforming the way they select juries, because that's where the convictions are handed down. I came across an article from the New York Times, and this article reinforces what I've been saying all along. The article is entitled, "What are the questions for potential jurors in the Derek Chauvin trial?" The New York Times is using a questionnaire for the Derek Chauvin trial. As we examine the written process more closely, I would like to encourage my listeners to read my transcript on my Medium page so that you can follow along with what I am reading. It says a jury questionnaire shows what each side may be looking for as a jury selection begins next week. Scroll down to where it says, number one, what do you know about this case from media reports? Here's the New York Times answering the question. This is why you need the new black voices of media so that we can sort this kind of stuff out for you. Now I'm strolling down to where it asks you, what podcasts do you regularly listen to? If you tell them that you listen to the new black voices of media, I wonder how that would go. It says, generally speaking, the defense will be looking for political conservatives with pro-law enforcement views. Okay. And what about the prosecutor will be looking for? Notice the New York Times didn't ask that question. Number two, it says, have you ever been restrained or put in a chokehold, for example, by law enforcement or during a self-defense class? Do you all really think that the prosecutors really want to see Derek Chauvin go to prison? This is the same state that acquitted Geronimo Enos, but sent Muhammad Noor to prison for a more justifiable circumstance. We can see the only cops who go to prison are the black ones. The type of people they are looking for are older black retired men because they hope that they are harboring animosity towards young black people. Now, when they are asking about gender, that's a cue for the LGBT community. They know that, for the most part, many of them are trying to undermine other black people. They're going to have some black faces on the jury, and just understand what the questionnaire is asking for. Scroll down to number 12. Do you or anyone close to you have any training or experience in the following areas? Law enforcement, criminal justice, forensic science. Why would you not want people who know what they're talking about? That's a problem because they don't want someone with medical knowledge on the jury because you can tell them that George Floyd suffocated to death because of some precondition. This questionnaire allows the court to cherry pick who they want on the jury without giving an explanation for why they chose one person over another. Now scroll down to number 13. Have you or anyone close to you had any of the following experience? Victim of a crime, accused of a crime, struggle with drug addiction. The jury system depends upon the prosecutor and the judge working together to twist the law in their favor. For example, 90% of the people who are arrested have to take a plea bargain. If the system was fair, 90% of the people who are arrested would not have to take a plea bargain because this system is rigged. Breonna Taylor killers didn't get off with the grand jury. They didn't get off because they are honest. They got off because the system is rigged. The New York Times is trying to frame the discussion by saying these are facts. It's a fact that George Floyd had drugs in his system. It's a fact that the jury system depends on the honesty of the jurors, not the duplicity and cunning of the judge and the prosecutors. Going back 13. Have you been accused of a crime? This question is to eliminate black men. In America, the criminal justice system, when a rogue cop killed a black person, the so-called defense attorneys and the prosecutors work together, and their job is to give the appearance of a partial trial. I just wanted you all to see exactly how they select their jury across the country. What we are experiencing in America is only happening because there are no repercussions for these road cops, because they are protected under qualified immunity. Jewish people understood not having representation in the legal system was the death of them. That's why they have Jewish lawyers and judges. Black people don't have such representation in the legal system. We have hand-picked coons who are nominated by the financial elites to pacify the masses. If you look at the history of protests and uprising in the United States, the majority of protests is because of police brutality. For example, watch old footage of the LA riots, the Baltimore protests over Freddie Gray's death, the Ferguson protests over Michael Brown's shooting. It's always behind some rogue cop. The financial elites want to protect that entity because without the enforcement wing of white supremacy, their system will collapse. Career politicians prefer to give out millions of dollars from taxpayers' money to pay a settlement to the victim's family instead of clamping down on rogue cops working in the police departments. It's because black voters are not demanding the city councils and mayors to rid them out of the police departments. I don't hear anyone saying that our tax dollars should not be used for rogue cops' misconduct. Our tax dollars should be used for infrastructure in our inner cities, black businesses, and schools. The reason why protests and the uprising continue is because there is a lack of justice for black citizens. My next topic, getting on code. The only thing we as black people can do at this point is to regroup and work with me and Sister Renee in getting Rakayo Chicago up and running for the sake of the next generation. Like it or not, we are in the end game in America. The current strategy is not working. Y'all have to get off that hamster wheel. Black people have been marching and protesting for freedom, justice, and equality for 52 years. That's not working. One of my group members who reside in Atlanta asked me, is it a good idea for black people to boycott Delta because, according to him, Stacey Abrams said so. I told him that black people should not boycott Delta because Stacey Abrams is in cahoots with the Democratic agenda. They have many blacks thrilled to death about weakening our position, and we don't get anything out of it. She wants black people to help illegal immigrants have the right to vote without an ID. Delta is the #1 employer for black people in Atlanta. This is so illegal immigrants can vote and neutralize the black vote. Since 1789, we had appointed judges in both political parties, and the predicament for black people in America is still the same. So voting is not the answer. Truth be told, it's not about voting. Voting gives the illusion of inclusion. GRCAM is about trying to develop an economic power base in order to help the youth that are growing up. I'm at a place where I just want to connect with other like-minded black people who want to build something positive in the black community before I cut and run to Africa. Like it or not, but we are in competition with other racial groups for resources. Either you are for black liberation or not. We need economic freedom, and through GRCAM, we have to build an economic power base within the black community, starting in Chicago, so that we can start pushing the culture forward. There has to be a division among us, otherwise we will not survive. The oppressor has done everything to us, from colonialism to enslavement. This is all about capturing our minds. The majority of our people mindset are still in the hands of the oppressor. Freedom is not something that you inherit if you are black. Every generation must fight for their freedom as long as we remain in America. I've been preaching to my group members about the importance of having a code of conduct within our racial group for the past 29 years. A code of conduct is knowing what's best for our group's interests, and we act accordingly. You can't call yourself a leader until you have created tangibles for your group. Building a legacy is more than just talk. It is what you own, what you control, and what you can pass down to your descendants. We have a lot of black people who are off code because white supremacy has been throwing crumbs at them. This is the reason why we have so many black people who are off code. They will try to undermine us because, unlike them, we have decided not to partake in their program. Code enforcement is important for a group survival. When we left those plantations, we took the race traders with us. Today is a new day. GRCAM is on the scene. If Black America is serious about having true liberation, then it would not have taken me 29 years to get my members on code. Dr. John Henry Clark said, your religion is supposed to empower you, and if your religion gets you to sit on your hands in the face of your oppression, then that's not a religion. It's a doctrine of subordination. Black economic empowerment is about the right group feeding itself. No freeloaders. All members must contribute something in the building of our organization. White supremacy has no problem subsidizing your self-destruction. That might be good enough for the Pookies, the Ray Rays, and the Bushiquas. But the question for those of us who are about that B1 life is whether or not that's good enough for us. Black economic empowerment is a decision to be the master of your own destiny. Dumping dead weight is no big thing for me. I am under no illusion that everyone who has been listening to me over the years are going to heed to my advice. The people who want to remain under white supremacy, let them be. Because where they're not going is with us. Let me be clear, the grassroots community activist movement will not be a machine for off-code behavior. GRCAM will never co-sign that this self-destructive behavior in the black culture, for we will raise the bar in Black America, Africa, and the Caribbean, and Brazil. And that's real. And with that being said, I'm going to open up the phone lines, and I would like for people that's going to call in to the show to just stay on point, focus on the topic at hand. And again, I'm calling upon everyone, all of my group members, big time, to participate on the show next Thursday. Very important, because I'm not sitting up here trying to be doing these podcasts every Thursday, for my health. I'm doing this trying to help raise funds for our film project. And I need people to be on board, especially group members, because, I don't want people to just be just posting videos in the group. That's not why I created the groups. I created the groups in order to turn these groups into a real business, and that's going to be Grakai of Chicago. And so, with that being said, I'm opening up the phone lines.